Hello, I'm Dan Marr from the law firm of Hamblett Kerrigan in Nashua, New Hampshire, and today I'm going to be talking in this vlog about personal liability in operating a business. If you're in a small business in New Hampshire, it makes a lot of sense most of the time to create an LLC, a limited liability company, or a corporation that you would generally, if it's a small company, you would call an S corporation, so it's treated with the same pass-through attributes. Makes a lot of sense for a variety of reasons, for liability protection as well as for purposes of protection to get more clients, because if you're doing personal services to a client and they know that they're dealing with you in a corporate or LLC capacity, they know that it's less likely that some governmental agency, state or federal, is going to be finding them to be really an employer of you. So it makes perfect sense to have an established entity to get not only protections from liability, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but also for protection to get more business, because you're more likely to get more business because if you got your own website, you're advertising doing these services, and you have an LLC or a corporation, you have your own tax ID number, much more likely that you're going to get more business in the personal, at least in the personal service industries. So let's talk about personal liability. If you sign a contract, if you have an LLC, a limited liability company LLC, or or you have a corporation and you sign in your capacity that as an LLC, you sign maybe as myself, Dan Marr, manager, or I sign as Dan Marr, member, or if I'm a corporation, I say Dan Marr, president, and I state the name of the corporation or the LLC underneath there, then in those contracts, generally, I'm not going to be personally liable if the contract is broken. They can't come after me personally for it. And we're going to talk about the exceptions to that and some other issues in regards to that. But that's one of the protections of this, is that the creditors can't take your home when you default on the contract. And you have every intent to fulfill your contract, but you have some protections there with the label of the corporation. Few things that happen in the personal liability situation is obviously if you have the company and you're not funding it properly, or you're taking all the money out and you're leaving it undercapitalized, and you're treating the business account as your personal checkbook. You're paying from the accounts for your kids' private education. You're paying for the house that you have on the lake, or your house, your mortgage for your residence. The more and more you do that, the more likely that the company, if a creditor is coming at you and there's an ability to come after you for what's called piercing the corporate veil, they're going to do that. We're talking usually hundreds of thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars. It's usually not worth it. But I've done those cases on behalf of creditors too and defended those matters. And it's really, you should talk to an attorney as to how to keep your corporation or your LLC in proper order. You should have annual meetings if you have a corporation. Even if you have one person, you should have a general communication maybe with your accountants and attorneys to have a general idea of strategy sessions. LLC, you don't have to do that, but you want to fulfill all your obligations and making sure that you're treating the company as a company itself and you're not treating it as your own personal checkbook. That's the first part, piercing the corporate veil. If you are doing things in a business as an LLC and you yourself are doing something wrong, what they call a tort, either negligent or intentional. By way of example, if I'm Dan Marr from Acme Corporation and I, in talking to a customer, defraud that customer in that situation, then I'm liable for my tort of fraud. I've committed the fraud in that situation, or if I'm driving on a business matter for Acme Corporation and I hit somebody in a crosswalk. I was answering a text, and obviously that's illegal, and I'm answering a text while I'm driving, and I don't see that person, I hit that person. That person isn't in a situation where they've agreed to, in a contract, to limit the liability to the corporation. I hit them, I'm negligent, I'm liable for that. The company is also liable for that, but I'm liable for it. So you have personal liability for your own personal actions like that. There are certain actions too in New Hampshire. In our state statute, there's something called aiding and abetting for employment discrimination cases. So under an employment discrimination statute, if somebody claims sexual harassment or race discrimination or whatever it may be of one of the protected classes in the statute, the discrimination statute, if you're found to be aiding and abetting the company in doing this, you're an officer and you're allowing it to happen maybe, or you're the one that they say is the perpetrator of it, then you can be personally liable for that. So that's another situation where you can be personally liable. Under the wage statute itself, if you're an officer of a company that allows the wage violation to happen, you don't pay somebody the commissions they're due, or you know that here's a situation where you're not doing well and you decide to tell them, please stay in with us. We think we can pull it out, so we're not going to be able to pay you now, but we should be able to pay you in a couple of months when the orders come in. You're not allowed to do that, and you can be personally liable for that. So there's a lot of situations upon which you can be personally liable for your own actions that you've taken, and that should be known, and you should get insurance. You get a employment practice liability insurance for the discrimination claims, not the wage claims, but for that you can get insurance certainly for liabilities as to driving, commercial automobile policy and the like. You should talk to your attorney and your insurance company to make sure you're covered for all of that. But still, corporations and LLCs are a great idea overall for small businesses. If you have questions, you can call me at Hamblett Kerrigan, Nashua, New Hampshire, J. Daniel Marr, or call me Dan at 603-883-5501, 603-883-5501, or you can check out our website, NashuaLaw, all one word.com. That's NashuaLaw.com. I look forward to working with you if the opportunity arises. Thank you.